All right. I'm sorry about that. I moved the camera and the thing just went wonky. Okay. I hope it back. Let's see. All right. Can you hear me? How is that part? That should be okay. I'm getting ready to do paper piecing. Hi, guys. Yeah, this is perfect because Diane was able to join us. And Diane, did you get your prize, hon? Diane won our last prize. Good. Glad you can hear me. Oh, I know what I was telling you. I had to change my needle. Let me do that real quick. I hate when I break my needle off. I'm using a Smets Universal. And I'm going to use a 9014 since I'm going to be sewing through paper. Oh, good, huh? I'm glad you got it. Congratulations. Earlier we showed some things. If you watch the other live stream, we showed some things that Bonnie, who's so good to us, I tell you the truth, that she sent for us to use. Aha, my threader finally worked. It had gotten off last time, and I couldn't get the threader to... Oh, you know what? I know why it just worked. I must have had the needle in the wrong place. And when I put a new needle in, I got it in just right, and it works. Yay. All right, so we're back to this. Let me move my light. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I've got... Yeah, this angle works better to show you what I've got. Pardon me, I'm going to get comfortable again. Okay, so I've pinned this on the wrong side. I've checked in the light. Oh, you can see it now. You can see that the paper, that the fabric is there. It looks a little narrow here. I'm going to push it up because you want a good 1/4 inch seam allowance on this. Because remember, when you paper piece and you have to pull this paper off, that puts stress on the fabric. So now let's see. Yes, I've got a 1/4 inch seam allowance showing through here. The next thing I want to do is shorten my stitch length. I'm going to put it on 1.8. Want a nice short stitch length so that you won't pull your fabric loose. Oh, that's good. Good job. That's wonderful. Okay, so now I've got this plane placed in place, put in place. Now I'm going to take and lay this fabric on top of it, even with that 1/4 of an inch. I know I already had that as a 1/4 of an inch. So I've shortened my stitch length. I'm going to bring it over here. Sew it into place. Oh, no. I just don't. I told you every time I haven't done this in a while, I forget. You sew from this side. And you usually realize that because you're like, well, how am I supposed to see the line? So you make sure that the fabric is all smooth underneath and then it's in the right place. Then you come over here. You start sewing a 1/4 of an inch before you get to the sewing line. So, oh, that's real good. Now you can, oh boy, you can see good. Okay. So this is the sewing line right there. I'm going to start sewing it back here, okay? And you know I put my stitch length at 1.8, and then you just come right across and sew right on that line. You can be very particular on this because it's all there for you. Okay, now, get my little snips, trim this thread, get my trash can. All right. So I have sewn it right across here. I now take this pin out, and I can take that pin out for now. All right. Now what I'm going to do is put another pin here because I don't want it to flip up or get out of the way when I get ready and put another piece on. Oh, but let's say that this wasn't, since I already had a 1/4 line and I knew this was a 1/4 of an inch, I don't have to trim. But I will be trimming and show you that in a little bit. All right, so I have now pinned that there. Now, one thing I can do, and I will, because I've got that block is too big. So right here on, whoops, it would help if I showed you. All right, hold on, guys. Okay. Let me back it out a little bit. Yes, I printed this out. On the printer. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is see how big that block is. So I get my rulers. I'm going to use the big one for now. And hold on a second. How did I used to do this? I would have to do it this way. So I put this postcard in along this line. Fold the paper back. And here where I've sewn past it, just pull it loose like this. Then lay this ruler right down in against the postcard. And then trim off that seam allowance. Now I know it's a 1/4 of an inch. Let me trim this off. So I'm going to go around the whole block and do this. And this way you'll get to see again. So now I need to trim this side over here. So I put the postcard down. I take and fold it right on that line. Fold it over like this. And now you see how much of that block is hanging out. I only need a 1/4 of an inch. So by putting this down, then I know I have trimmed it with a 1/4 inch to spare. And I think I can do one more line. So I'm going to put this against the top, line this postcard up with that line, fold it here, push that back, and come right here and trim it. Now, this might seem like a lot of extra work, but look what I've got now. See how nice and tidy it is? And that way, when I put my next piece on, I just have to line it even with that, and it'll be right at 1/4 of an inch. So I've got A1, A2. Now this one's the one I put on next. So put this out of the way. I know if I line this straight line with this, and then flip it over, put it under the needle, and then I take and start 1/4 of an inch away from the line. So I sew early, and then I sew until I'm off the line, so I end late, okay? All right, and then when I pull this back, look at that. I get it. It's very nice, straight, neat. So I've got 2 perfectly neat sides. So now I'm going to neaten this up. It is a pineapple block. Excellent. Good job, Diane. And it's something I normally wouldn't do. Now I'm going to show you. I'm not quite getting this. Okay. Okay. Now I can show you some more. Has anyone here never done paper piecing? Is there anybody who's new to paper piecing? Hi, Michelle. Glad you're back. Because this time I have folded the line back where it's supposed to go. Oh, you know, okay. Well, then I'll show you one more time about right here. I need to trim off some of the fabric from this piece here. So I'm going to trim it on this side. So what I do is I place this postcard here, fold it back nice and tight. Then this, which is taped to the postcard, push it down and have it against the postcard, and then trim. And what that does is it trims it and leaves it 1/4 of an inch. All right. So now I've got that part done. This might be confusing, but I need to trim this line now. So just remember what side you need to trim. Put the postcard down so you can push the line back to that. Anywhere it's sewn down like that, just pull it back. Carol Doak used to always say, "I am woman, hear me roar," when she would pull that loose. Just to kind of let you know, it's okay, you're supposed to pull that loose. So now, see, I got 1/4 of an inch left. So now, it's much, much better. And it looks like I could do a little trimming. Yes, that would, I thought I had done that. I must have had it tucked back. I might have had that tucked back. Now, I've been sewing so long. Add a 1/4 ruler. That's it. Yep. And it catches on the folded part. So you don't even have to use the postcard if you don't want to. You could just put the 1/4 of an inch ruler down. See how it kind of catches on that edge of the paper folded? Then you just trim, and you know you've got 1/4 of an inch just like you need. So see how nice and tidy this is? So I hope y'all don't mind, but I'm going to take off this postcard because I'm finding that is just an extra step we don't need. All right. I've had it that way for so long and I don't use it, so it's like, why have it? All right, so now I've done A1, A2, A3. Now I'm going to do A4. So I take a nice, plenty big piece of fabric, and you put the flat edge of the triangle against the flat edge of that square. You know then it's already 1/4 of an inch because we trim that up so it's nice and 1/4 of an inch. And then hold it up to the light like this, and you can make sure side to side you've got enough fabric. It should hang over both sides. And it does. So now I turn it. See, this is where it's like, it's odd because you're always working backwards. And it is. You're kind of working backwards. And it's the hardest thing to get used to because you keep feeling like you're going to do something wrong. But it's not. It's just this awkward thing called paper piecing. But trust me, when you do a tough job, something like this pineapple block that has so many points, you'll be really happy to do it. And once you got to flip it over and sew on the side with the lines. And once you get the hang of this, it's like paint by number. Couldn't be easier. So I start ahead of the line, sew across the line, and sew beyond the line, about 1/4 inch. Okay, and I'm going to show you that so you can see how I sewed past each end of that A4 line. And now what I'm going to do, and when you get used to it, you don't even really have to put that ruler up to it if you don't want to. But don't let me get you in trouble. I just come in here and I kind of trim and call it good. And then you take, and what I normally do is I finger press, and I have a wooden iron somewhere. But you could use a bone folder. But I usually, when I'm doing this, just finger press. You can use a clothespin. Just take the wooden edge. The wooden iron I have is a piece of wood with a slanted 45-degree edge. But this is just a popsicle stick. And all you're doing is creasing the fabric, and it does a beautiful job of folding. So I just finished part A4. Now I have to add the last one, A5. Let me see if I think this will be big enough. It's going to be close, but let's hope that I've got it. And this is where I tell you, don't waste time over scraps. These few little wasted pieces are not worth losing sleep over. So now I'm going to put the A5, got to put it on this side, line a straight line with a straight line, even though it's going to be a triangle. And I try to pin it so I've got that same amount hanging over each way. I used a little applique pen so that I do not want to run over the pen with my machine. Okay, now I'm looking, see how I'm using the light behind it to make sure I have enough on each side for this triangle right there. And I do have enough down here. All right, the fabric's underneath, but I sew from the top so I can see the line. I start 1/4 inch ahead, 1/4 inch, stop 1/4 inch past the line. Let's see, where did I just, there it is, there it is. Okay, right in between A1 and A5. All right, then I take out this pen and I flip it back here because I want to get this, I want to make this seam a little shorter. It's a little long. All right, then I'll check this seam here. See how I had to pull that loose? No worries. That's part of it. That's where you sew above and beyond. But the main thing is you want to get a nice, secure seam. That's why you always sew above and beyond. So, all right. Ooh, that was close. This is very close. So I know that next time I will go ahead and cut out something a little bit bigger, because it's just going to make it. Let me see if I can show you in the light. When I push it up, it just makes it to that line. So I'm going to keep a pen in it because I don't want it to be folded back or I'll miss it. And y'all can keep chatting too. And I'll just kind of do a couple more because I want you to see how quick and easy it makes this process, because normally this would drive you nuts trying to do it. You know, a pineapple block is perfect for this because knowing where to put all your seams, it would make you crazy. So now I think, let me see. I think I'll use some purple. So what I'm going to do, scraps. Can't beat it. See, you can use scraps for this. So use up some of those scraps. All right. So now I'm going to do A6. A6 is right here. So I fold this back, and I know 1/4 of an inch, so I'm going to trim it without using the ruler. But when you first start, use that ruler. That's what it's there for. And I'm going to, I don't know, let's see if this is going to be wide enough. Oh yeah, I got twice as much as I need, so this will work. So I'm going to come here, place this even with the 1/4 of an inch mark, pin it far away from where I'm going to sew. We don't want to hit the pin. I told y'all about Alex Anderson back when she was on, so what was it called? Her show on HGTV, she shared that she had sewed over a pin and it broke her main shaft of her sewing machine. And that's an expensive mistake. All right. So, are y'all still there? Are y'all still there? Uh-oh.